Hey, Tim, the recording has started. It's all you.
All right, go ahead and call the meeting to order. Fire Service Membership Council. Welcome everybody. Welcome new people, and let's go ahead and do a roll call, Carl.
All right. Tim Diehl, I've got you. Brian Adams, are you on? Brian Adams. For those of you who know Brian, congratulate him the next time that you see him because he just got promoted to fire chief. Marshal Black, I think I saw you.
Yes, I'm here.
Got you, sir. Marshal Boisfort. Boisfort. Marshal Davidson, I see you on. Welcome, Darcy.
Thank you.
Did I just hear Rick Boisfort sneak in here?
Yes.
That is affirmative, sir.
All right, gotcha. I think Marshal Desrochers is still on vacation this week. He's on for some reason. Chief Hyde, I think I saw you in here.
Yes, sir.
Chief Jenkins says hello. I just spent a couple days with him in Florida. Ed Kaminsky is not going to be able to join today. Chief King, are you here? Chief Lefevre is on an airplane today. He sent a note in. Marshal Lund, I saw you here. Thank you for being here to present today. Marshal Medina.
I'm here.
Gotcha, Larry. Thank you. Doug Nelson, we've got you. Kelly Nicolello, I saw you. I know Christine is on already. And just so everybody knows, I think Director McDaniel is here. I don't know if Director Hyan is here. Tim Schmitz, are you on? He's on. So that gives us 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we've got a quorum with the group that we have, Tim.
Okay, very good. Again, welcome everybody, and welcome our new members who are here. I want to go ahead and roll out to the guest presentation by one of the members of the governing committee, Jonathon Lund, who will go over the ICC Performance Code consensus. So, Jonathon, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Tim. Can everybody see my screen there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I don't think this will take terribly long today, but I wanted to provide, I know we've all been kind of brought up to speed on the new process for the performance code, but specific to our group, I wanted to let you all know where we're at in terms of the fire and life safety sections in the performance code. So just want to do a quick overview of what we've done so far and where we're going. So if you want to read more, there's a whole report on reimagining the performance code and why maybe it's not used in the US as much as maybe it could be. And then there's the page at ICC that has more information on the performance code process. I'm not intending to talk through all that stuff today, but I can share this with Carl and then you can have those links. Kind of the format that we took, and I think this was presented last time, they broke all of the different sections of the performance code out and have subgroups working on all of those different sections. Well, one of those, perhaps one of the largest ones, is the fire and life safety section, which Armin Wolski and I are leading. And we've been meeting for about 6 months now, going through many of the things that relate to fire and life safety in the performance code. So we met in person in Washington, D.C. a few months ago, and one of the things we figured out that we were missing was a group to cover a lot of the architectural features, some of the interior navigation spaces, accessibility, stuff like that, that kind of got thrown into subgroup 9, and we raised the flag and say, hey, that's not really necessarily fire and life safety unless the unless there's an emergency. So maybe we ought to shed some of that to another group. So for anybody out there that's interested in some of the building navigation and accessibility features and other architectural features in the performance code, they are looking for people to work on this additional 11th subgroup. But what I want to talk about today primarily is what we've done in regard to fire and life safety. So our process has been to review the previous editions of the International Performance Code and to try to imagine what a new one could look like. How would we make it more usable, more user-friendly? How would we promote more people going down the performance path? And one of the key hangups that I've had personally with it, and that I think needs to be recognized and dealt with, is, do you have AHJs that are comfortable working in the performance code? And if not, what are those barriers to getting a performance-based design implemented or utilized in a particular project? And so we've talked a lot about making sure that previous editions of the performance code are very broad brush with, I'll say, very little guidance towards how would an AHJ review it, what would be the criteria for approval, and how do you maintain it through the lifespan of the building. And to me, that's been one of the big barriers. And then the varying levels of capabilities and capacities in municipalities all over the United States and the world. And so what we're trying to do is really dive into the topics that are related to fire and life safety, provide a well thought out performance objective, and then give substantially more options for performance criteria to kind of drive potential options for performance-based design, not necessarily to prescriptively say you have to go this route, but to give some options. And so what I thought I'd do is run through some of the ones that we've worked on. So again, for hazardous materials, if you think about performance objectives in the performance code, they're going to be broad brush strategic performance objectives. And then we're getting into, so I mean, I think we'd all agree, like, hey, provide protective measures, prevention mitigation related to hazardous materials to ensure an acceptable level of safety. Okay, well, that's really nice to say that, but what does that actually mean? And what are some of the maybe prescriptive or deemed to satisfy thresholds? And what are some of the potential performance criteria that could be utilized? So as a committee right now, we feel pretty good about the performance objective. Where we're struggling or where we're continuing to work is, what are then those criteria that we want to steer the design team towards meeting these criteria statements? And so let me fast forward a little bit to our next steps. The fire and life safety subgroup has meetings marched out from now until basically April to go through each one of these performance objectives and start working on developing criteria statements. And so we'll tackle them one or two at a time in a 2-hour meeting, and we'll try to write, now that we've got some basic criteria ideas, what are then the criteria statements that go along with that performance objective? Again, trying to put concrete background and guidance for designers, but also AHJs. What are we looking for when somebody proposes a performance-based design? So I'll quickly kind of run through some of these things, and then I want to get to the meat of our work towards the end of this. Again, detection alarm notification. I'm not going to read these to you. I think they're fairly straightforward, but we've developed performance objectives for detection alarm and notification, automatic suppression, fire service access and firefighting, Occupant egress, again, none of these categories are going to be earth shattering. We're all familiar with them. One of the areas where we're coordinating with another group is the property protection, internal environmental impact. We're coordinating with the functional recovery group because maybe the performance objective is it's a critical infrastructure facility and they can withstand 2 hours of downtime. So then that functional recovery needs to take place within 2 hours. So how do you then design performance-based objectives and criteria to meet that functional recovery performance goal? So this one is where there's a lot of coordination with another subgroup. Water supply, we're coordinating with civil, obviously, but relatively straightforward there. The structural group, this is an interesting one because structural performance-based design is fairly prevalent, but oftentimes in a structural performance-based design, they're not giving any credit in a fire scenario to whether or not you have a fire suppression system. So when you look at structural performance design, there's perceived to be very little benefit for the presence of a suppression system. Well, obviously, as fire and life safety folks, I think we have a fundamental issue with that. Like, we want to encourage the installation of suppression systems, and so we're working with the structural group to maybe account for that. And I'll get into that here just next as we talk about the tolerable impact tables. So one of the new lenses that we're trying to look at performance-based design in, the tolerable impact table is not a new table to performance-based design, but in the next two slides, I'll show you the wrinkle that we're putting on it. So I think this format for tolerable impact is relatively commonplace. You have your risk category or group and the magnitude of the event. What's interesting, and we've spent a lot of time discussing this, is in a seismic event that uses a table like this, the infrastructure there does not contribute to the event. Like, there's no impact to the magnitude of the earthquake based on the building design. You can't control how big the earthquake is by the way you design your building. But we can control how big the fire is based on, I'm going to skip one slide ahead, based on the fire protection systems that we design into the building. So the thought was, now that you have these performance tables and you have your magnitude of event, you know what you're trying to do in terms of performance goal, but do you get a benefit from a fire sprinkler system or other automatic suppression system or passive fire protection? Is that impacting the magnitude of the design event? So I'll back up a second. I skipped over this table, but so a lot of our conversation the last few meetings has been, how do you even approach a table like this? Where do you get quantitative numbers to put behind it? And is this a realistic approach to fire and life safety performance-based design? And so this is my ask, or this is my push. If this at all piques your curiosity, our subgroup is a relatively small subgroup. And there's some people that are really dedicated to rethinking performance-based design. But we need more opinions, and we don't want to get the 2027 edition of the performance code out for public comment and be sent back to the drawing board to rethink it all. We'd prefer to be working on that now. So there is a sign up, and I'll share that link here later. But if you're at all interested in listening in or participating in the development of the fire and life safety sections for the performance code, we meet roughly every 2 weeks for about 90 minutes to go over a topic or two and trying to work through these ideas. So I'm going to back up a second to this table. So we've come up with these risk groups, and there's different ways your building gets categorized in a risk group. But I mean, you can contemplate what those risk groups might look like based on building importance. It looks very much like seismic design, if you're familiar with that at all, and then the magnitude of the event. And what we're now looking at is, all right, now that we've got these performance or risk groups, when do we apply this table? So we're thinking certainly this could be a life safety type table. Like, are we making sure that people have adequate time and accessibility to exit the building? And maybe this table does nothing. It has nothing to do with structural performance or other performance-based design topics, but this is specific to life safety, and you evaluate that independently. Or when we originally thought maybe we have one table for all fire type scenarios, then we got into this discussion of property versus life safety and building performance. So we came up with a second table to say, all right, well, maybe you could have a building where life safety is important, but it's low occupancy, where might put in a lower performance group and allow for a more devastating fire impact. Well, what about a building that has important values, critical infrastructure, but maybe not the life safety concern? We need to make sure that that building is going to perform to maintain that critical infrastructure. So we started to look at, all right, well, what's a fire and smoke spread performance table? And do we want to contain it to the building, to two adjacent smoke zones, the smoke or fire zone of origin, or maybe the room or object of origin, depending upon how important that building is? So we're really spending a lot of time on trying to develop these tables. Are there footnotes that go with these tables? How do you classify the buildings into which performance group they belong in? Because obviously, like I just said, it might be different for life safety versus the importance of the building itself or the facility. And so we're trying to refine this approach. So what is our remaining work? This is where we need to continue to work on performance objectives for wildland urban interface, construction and demolition, some interior finish, building construction requirements, emergency responder communications. Our last meeting, we started to tackle these performance objectives. We have some drafts. I didn't feel comfortable putting them on here because they're just not there yet. And then it's going back through each performance objective and creating criteria for them, and continuing to refine those performance tolerable impact tables to really think, can we quantify the impact of the fire protection system on the problem that we're designing for? And so that's the bulk of our work that we have upcoming, and just kind of the outline or timeline for that. We expect to produce a draft for public comment in 2025. Right now, I think that's looking at like June or July of 25. I think there's a time period for public comment, and there's actually 2 iterations of that. And hoping to, we're planning to publish this for the 2027 code cycle. But I know that was a really fast run through. Again, I know we're familiar with this topic, or at least loosely familiar that it's going on. But I really wanted to take the opportunity to bring the fire and life safety stuff to this group and kind of open the floor and say, initial reactions. What are the challenges? What are the slip, trip, and fall hazards you see with this approach? And maybe triage some of those now and take them back to the fire and life safety subgroup. So with that, Tim, I can stop sharing or keep sharing, and we can entertain questions or comments.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good information. I know we're all interested in this. It has been a topic of discussion in multiple arenas. Does anybody have any questions for Jonathon? Usually this is not a shy group. So
Well, I'll leave it at this too. If there aren't any questions, like feel free to contact me offline. We've really made a push the last few weeks. Like I said, our attendance it's not overwhelming. If you sign up to come to a meeting, you're probably going to have an opportunity to participate and contribute. So if any of this, even if it's a specific topic that I mentioned here, please contact me and we'll get you plugged into the meeting, and you can, even if you just participate for that topic. So.
Yeah, and Jonathon, yeah, I'd go ahead and put that information in the chat. And then that way we can get some links going. And of course, the presentation will be available later on also.
I will do that or just shortly. So.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate it.
Cool.
All right, continue to move on. Everybody should have received the agenda for today. So are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Seeing any? Is there any look for the minutes were also sent out? Do I have a motion for the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed. Very good. Go ahead and move into our work group updates. Our member engagement, we will be moving forward with that. I have had talked to and received some information from people. So we'll be getting that back together. Looking forward to moving that into the year on a new platform. And just basically a new update training idea where we're going with that, how we're going to keep our members engaged. Emerging trend issues and trends. I know Mr. Desrochers is not on today, and I know the last meeting was canceled. I'm hoping that, once again, we get ready and get a good start for the beginning of the year with that. But Kelly, public awareness, go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. We met last week or so, and essentially what we're doing is evaluating where we are in subject matter as we speak. We're also taking another look at the marketing requirements within ICC, and we're in the process of trying to possibly incorporate some additional social media for 2025. And so we're kind of and we know we got holiday season coming up, but at the same time, we're more in a prep mode for 2025 and moving forward with some more products. So that's kind of where we're at today. And of course, anybody who wants to attend our meetings are welcome to do so. And I believe we're on the third Wednesday. I don't have my calendar up of the month. And if you want to be included, just get a hold of Christine Reed or Carl, and they'll connect you up with the invite to that.
Kelly, this is Christine. You're the second Thursday.
Second Thursday. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Too many meetings to keep track of. That's all I've got. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Kelly? Thank you, sir. Training and education, again, we're going to be reaching out to a couple people, again, to refocus that committee and that group, and looking forward to getting that moving forward again, working with the other work groups in the next coming month and year. So we'll move into reports of officers and liaisons. I know Director McDaniels was on, and I saw our new director also, Sean Toomey, but Director McDaniels, if you want to say something.
Sure. No, it's always good to be on. It's always good to see everybody and the number of people that are on the Fire Service Membership Council. Not a lot of updates since we last saw each other in Long Beach, other than looming, and you're all aware of this, the January 10th deadline for the Group B hearings for the Group B code cycle starting next year, and many of you participate. And I think that's actually your next in-person meeting is probably that meeting, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, not a significant amount of updates. It's only been less than a month since we last saw each other. So I'll keep it brief so that you can get to your business.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Toomey.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone again for the support in my quest to be on the board, and I'm pretty thrilled, excited to be able to be in this position and support Fire Service Membership Council and everybody moving forward. Moving forward in the coming year, I will be the board liaison. I'm sure Director Metz will be also in the background helping, and he'll be actually my mentor for the coming year, so I'm looking forward to that as well. A bunch of us were in DC last week. I had the opportunity to attend my board orientation, which was great. A bunch of us attended a 30th anniversary event at the DC offices, which was well attended. We also attended the World Safety Day event last week, where our CEO received a nice award for all his work on the standards through his tenure with ICC. So it was a really nice event. We also had the opportunity to meet with some of our federal delegation to push the BRIC grant and the Pro Codes Act, recognizing it passed. It did not pass this in this current session, missed by 2 votes. So the hope is to move it forward in the upcoming federal legislative cycle and move that forward. So our upcoming board meeting is beginning of December. So hopefully we'll have some more information to share after that. I've been working with NASPM to fill the 2 NASPM seats that are open, and I've been working with the New England division of the IFC to try to get that seat filled as well. So that's all I have, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments, questions for Sean? All right, moving into other reports. Report from the chair. It's been a busy month, getting some other items in place. Still working with the Membership Steering Council and getting that. That meeting will be coming up next week. But looking forward to getting everything else in place. And we have a couple of events coming up that we want to make sure that we're well represented at also. And just looking forward to starting the new year off right. Go ahead and then, Carl, if you want to go ahead and do your report. And I know Beth Tubbs is online also, and I think she has an announcement to make.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, late morning to those of you on the West Coast. I am coming to you from Boston today, as a matter of fact. So it's been a busy week. I had the opportunity to travel to Florida this past week and join with our National Fire Service leaders at the Truman Legacy Symposium down in Key West at the Harry S. Truman Little White House. That's a once in every 5-year event. So the last time our boss, Sarah Yerkes, attended, and it was a real pleasure to be able to represent ICC there. It essentially is a gathering in the nation's fire service to revisit where we've been over the last 5 years, but also to, more importantly, map out strategic priorities for the next 5 years and build on the success that we've had. So Dr. Laura Moore Merrill was in attendance, wrapping up her term as United States Fire Administrator and setting the stage for the next leadership group that will be in. While there's no new fire administrator that's been named, of course, yet, we expect that probably, if things go the way that they have in the past, probably September or October of next year would be a time when that fire administrator position would be filled, maybe sooner. There are a few names floating around for that already, and the United States Fire Administration, if you had not heard yet, has brought on Chief Donna Black, who is one of the immediate past presidents of the International Association of Fire Chiefs as Deputy U.S. Fire Administrator, thereby filling the vacancy from Chief Hoover when she retired earlier this year. So Chief Black will be picking up and getting her feet on the ground for just a couple of months. But as soon as those couple of months are up, she is going to become the acting United States Fire Administrator once Lori is out of office on January the 20th of 2025. So Chief Black will be the acting United States Fire Administrator. The Deputy U.S. Fire Administrator acting will be Eric Skablix, moving up from the NFA Superintendent's role. So some moving pieces, but not unexpected at the Fire Administration. So it was good to have Lori there, being able to kind of talk about our fire service One Voice initiatives and the accomplishments. There were many over the last 3.5 years of her tenure there at the Fire Administration. We expect many more to come. So there will be a report that comes out of the Truman Legacy Symposium. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there for the strat planning session. I had to get on an airplane. I went to Houston. I know we typically have members from the North American Modern Building Alliance on the Fire Service Membership Council calls. They were kind enough to invite myself and Chief Greg Rogers from the IAFC down to be able to speak to them, along with Don Davis from Building Owners Association, to talk about the threat from energy and stored energy and batteries. So it was in Houston on Tuesday, Monday night and Tuesday. Got on an airplane yesterday and came up here to Boston and met with the National Park Service structural fire marshals. Believe it or not, they have a group of, it's probably 25 to 30 folks here visiting in Boston, and they have regional coverage all over the country. Hundreds of thousands of structures on National Park Service lands that they are responsible for. Many are upwards to 200 years old. They've adopted the I codes and are very active in our code development process. Had 3 people from their organization in Long Beach for the hearings, which was really great to hear. So I had an opportunity to spend some time with them here today in Boston, and then I'll be heading home tomorrow morning. So I'm really excited to let you know that we've got all of our fire service hires done for the expanding organization that I'm a part of in government relations. So you know that Christine started. I'm also happy to announce that Mark Roberts will be joining us from our field staff. He'll be moving over from being our Southwest Regional Manager and coming into the Fire and Disaster Mitigation Program with Christine and I. And then we've also hired Sarah Carter. Sarah, some of you may know from working with both Fire Marshal Mike Morgan and Assistant Fire Marshal Chris Brunette, Chief Brunette, and the Division of Fire Prevention and Control in Colorado. She's running their professional development unit there and will be starting with us on December the 9th. So we're excited to have her as another member of the team. And then last but not least, certainly Justice Jones is going to be joining us. Justice is the city of Austin, Texas wildfire manager, and he is definitely one of the top voices in wildfire in the country. So we're really excited to have him join us on December the 16th. So there will be a press release that goes out about all of that. And what I wanted to do is just use that as a segue now to talk a little bit about, we've got those resources coming on, but there's also really big things happening over in our tech services department, primarily around fire protection engineering. And Beth Tubbs is on. Beth has, as you probably remember, recently been promoted to Vice President of Codes. So now she is looking over all the I codes and not just being the Secretariat for the International Fire Code, but she's got some introductions and some news in her shop as well too that I think you're going to be interested in hearing. So Beth, you're up.
Yes, thank you, Carl. First, I want to introduce Paul is on the call. Paul Sincaglia is going to be, he is the new Chief Fire Protection Engineer. He's been on, he started right before the hearings. We threw him in the hearings and he got to experience that. But he has a lot of extensive experience in design, hazmat, all sorts of fire protection. He's worked with International Association, so has that experience in terms of fire protection. With sprinklers primarily, but again, that was just one aspect. He has fire service and code official background for many, many years. And I'm super excited because we have Paul and welcome him. And we have Scott Adams, who will continue to work with us. He's leading the performance code effort amongst helping with fire code, existing building code, and other things, and fire code action committee. And then we have Keith Enstrom, who will probably kind of lead the fire code aspect. But I think all these folks will be involved. I think Paul he'll basically lead fire code action committee, working with Scott on that. We have another staff coming on. We're not ready to sort of officially announce, I don't think yet, but in the next couple of weeks, we'll have an FPE also joining our group. So I'm super excited because to have all this sort of this network of people and to also work with Carl's group on a lot of different issues too. I think that will work very well as an overall team. So I don't know, Paul, if you want to say a word or two since you're on the call.
Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. As Beth said, I have not been on long enough to really have any idea where anything is just yet, but I've jumped into some of my early assignments. I'm looking forward to working with all of you guys. I mean, as Beth said, I got into the fire protection engineering side of things because I was in the fire service side of things. And that ultimately led to my current career path. So having been on the fire marshal enforcement side of things, as well as the suppression and EMS side, I understand that view. And then I will joke many times, a scum sucking.
Losing your Paul. Maybe it's me.
Design decisions. So I sort of understand those who are reading and trying to apply the code in active design processes as well. So hopefully I'm able to bridge the languages between the two groups and be a service to this as well as to the balance of tech services. So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Paul, great to see you. Thanks for the kind words. You broke up a little bit in there in the internet connection. So I guess ICC is going to have to pay to upgrade your internet connection here at some point so we can have you on more completely. It wasn't too bad. It was just a little bit. So
it seems to be a today thing. I mean, literally once somewhere around noon today, it keeps cutting in and out. So it probably needs me to go in the other room and reboot it. But
there you go.
We'll see.
Well, great to see you. And Beth, thanks so much for the good words about the technical staff there too, particularly all the FPE support that we're going to have. So just so that everybody understands on this call too, because we've got really a lot of our prime constituents that attend this call and the FCAC. I mean, this is easily probably I would call a 600% increase from where we were this time last year in terms of fire specific support, domain support for all things advocacy and technical work at the International Code Council. So really excited to be a part of this. Beth and I have been talking about this for years. Now it's here, and now we're going to have to figure it out with good folks like Paul and others and the rest of the team that I talked to you about. So more news coming about here soon. But if you have those thoughts about, hey, we've always needed this support and here's what we really want from you, my office door is always open, at least virtually, for all of you. So please send a message, give me a call, send a text. Let me know what the wants and needs are out there in the field and the things that we haven't been able to do before that maybe we'll be able to do now. But just as a final reminder, we'll make sure that at least the 4 folks that are coming on alongside, in government relations with me, will be represented pretty heavily here in this group, and that we're going to have each of those 4 folks directly assigned to one of the sub work groups that we've got for the Fire Service Membership Council. So tech services folks are always welcome to participate in that. We'll certainly be leaning on them heavily for a lot more in terms of hard materials and good discussion and guidance about big issues that are out there around the idea of energy, batteries, one way out, any number of issues that have been out there. We'll be able to tackle those head on and get you a lot of what you need. So thanks so much for the time, Mr. Chair, and excited to have this team working forward here into 2025.
Thank you, Carl. And yes, it's great to have a great working team coming on board. Looking forward to working with everyone also. Any comments or questions for Carl? Not seeing any. We'll continue to move on to the council officers and liaisons. Building membership, I did not see anybody online. I know they had a meeting and elected a new chair and vice chair over there. So congratulations to them. The Membership Steering Council, good to report. The annual report is ready. We got everything together. Marketing was finalizing it the last time we spoke, and it should be all ready to be presented to the Board of Directors at the December meeting. Part that goes with that in the coming year, we will be looking for those liaisons to the steering committee to kind of be a little bit more active with the Monday platform. As you all may or may not be aware, all the councils submitted their goals for the upcoming year. Part of those meetings that we're going to be having will be updates to those goals. So we want to be able to have those goals listed, show the progress of those goals, so when we get ready to submit the annual report again next year, we'll already have all that information. It'll be much easier to get together, but it'll also allow us as a group to see if all the groups are able to maintain their goals, if we need to assist, if we can assist other councils. It will just provide us a better opportunity to really coordinate and collaborate on all the goals across the membership councils. So I'm looking forward to, continuing in that role next year and making sure that we have a good platform and a good, stable report ready to go. I know Bill is on here. Bill, did you want to add anything else concerning the membership steering?
No, Tim, I think you nailed it pretty good. Pretty good shape there. Thank you, though.
Thank you. And again, the next meeting is the 26th. It's next Tuesday online. It's on the other part of the membership steering is the membership platform, the engagement platform. Again, I encourage everybody to get involved with that. We will be putting out more information on utilizing that platform. Right now, there are a little over 3,300 ICC members into the platform already. The last number I looked at was 62 in the fire service. I know we have many more members than that, but I would hope that everybody will get there and check out on that. Global Membership Council. Again, I didn't see anybody in the list. And emerging leaders, Mr. Flynn, I did not see anybody from emerging leaders either.
This is Lisa Hartwig. I'm on ELMC.
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. So at our meeting in Long Beach, we elected our new chair, Greg Gilbert. He's the billing official from Maine, and you may have recognized the name or the face from his gift to outgoing President Tom at the gala in California. The 2024 Trailblazer Award for Outstanding Mentorship was awarded to Van Tran of Plano, Texas by Rick Hoffey in our last meeting. And then we just had a great showing of participation in the Community Day of Service events and the junior and senior high school event for I Built This Construct Reach when we were out in Long Beach. If you hadn't had a chance to look through the social media posts for those events, it's a great way to get involved with the Habitat for Humanity out there, as well as getting young people involved in the codes.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move into any other councils online. I didn't see anybody, but I just wanted to check to be sure. Okay. Ongoing business. As many of you may or may not be aware, the Congressional Fire Service Institute, their dinner and symposium has been changed. It's been moved up. So it's now in February this year. So Carl, if you want to go ahead and give us an update, please.
Yep, we'll keep it short. So the 12th and 13th of February, Washington, D.C. We are generally on this track of doing things that are familiar. This year it's going to be a little unfamiliar in that the Hill Day is actually going to precede the dinner rather than vice versa. So one thing I wanted to make sure that this crew knew more than anything else is that the Hill Day is scheduled for the 12th. The symposium and dinner are on the 13th. So please make your plans to come in accordingly. And make sure you don't miss the Hill Day, and that also includes the Hill Visit photo that we do, and there will also be some information that'll go out in terms of talking points for Hill visits. So the other piece that I'd like to report on relative to CFSI is that I had the good fortune of being asked to chair the symposium committee this year. So all the presentations that we received probably almost 40 presentations this year, both for specific call and open call on topics that we had asked for. And we've made those selections. We're working with the presenters right now and expect to have that information out shortly after Thanksgiving. But I can tell you that one of the presentations is actually going to be Brian Frieders and our very own Randy Metz talking about special events. And they did this program at the California Fire Prevention Institute previously, but it was enormously popular, and it's really about bringing that same rigor to temporary events around things like egress and alarms and protocols and emergency planning and incident command, as we see for many of the other things that we all do in our day-to-day jobs. So I'm excited to have them coming. I encourage you to come. That's just one piece. There will be, by no surprise to this crew, I'm sure, a focus on codes and standards, not just with the ICC, but inclusive of all of our partners from IAFC to NASFM to NFPA and others. So we're in the process of contacting those crews and speaking to them about what specifically we'd like to talk about. So there are some exciting things happening for the symposium program this year. The Hill Day is a day early. Please get your dinner tickets in. And the big thing that I wanted to say to our governing committee members is that if you are interested in being sponsored to come to Washington, D.C. for the CFSI symposium and dinner and your Hill visits, please get your expressions of interest to me. You can also copy Christine as well too, and we'll be taking note of those and present them up to leadership so that we can make a decision on who sits where and fills out our 10-person table at the dinner. So we look forward to having you do that with us. So that's all I've got on CFSI, Tim.
Thank you, sir. Always a good time, always a lot of good information and networking occurs at that event. Any questions? Very good. You see in here, I mentioned the member community platform. Again, I just want to continue to go back to that and mention that real quick. Here again, it is where a lot of that information is coming out. So I encourage everybody to get on that platform. Any other ongoing business? Right. We're going to go ahead and move into our new business. The first thing you see in there is that in December is always our elections for the chair and vice chair for the Fire Service Membership Council. I will be setting up a nomination committee. I've spoke to several of them. So the nomination committee will consist of Ted Black. He will be the chair, Larry Medina, and Michael Desrochers. They will be forming up the nomination committee. As well with that, I would ask anyone who is interested in applying for chair or vice chair to submit their letter of intent to the nominating committee by December 6th. That's a Friday. That gives the nominating committee just about 2 weeks to come back with their recommendations for our meeting December 19th, where we will have our annual elections. I will say I look forward to working with this group and staying in charge of this group, and we'll see how the new year starts off. The other new business is the AFG grants application period opened. Carl, you want to speak to that real quick?
Yep, sure will. So Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, AFG was reauthorized this year, which was a huge deal for the Congressional Fire Services Institute, and it's reauthorized, I believe, for the next 5. So we encourage anyone and everyone to take part in the program. If it applies to you specifically for AFG, if it does not, please spread the word. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the AFG notice of funding opportunity here in our chat, so you can take a look at it. But the short story is AFG opened on November the 12th. It closes December 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So get your applications in. The one that is even more applicable under AFG to our crew is the assistance to, the fire prevention and safety grants. Those have not opened yet. So that's just a quick reminder that those will come down the pipe here sooner rather than later. But AFG is out now and absolutely available to be able to put programs into. I mean, I sat on the review committee last year for AFG and looked at everything from PPE and SCBAs for fire investigators all the way through preparedness, prevention applications, ongoing programs. So if you can think of it and it fits within the scope, please do submit it, and then you get another bite at the apple as well under the fire prevention or FP&S grants. So that's all I've got, and the link is in the chat. When you're ready for it, Tim, I do have another piece of new business that I'd like to share.
Okay, and I was just going to follow up to your segment with AFG's grants. Yeah, I was a peer reviewer on those for multiple years. And yes, you see everything through there. I highly recommend, if you've got a program, if you've got a thought and it falls within the parameters, submit the request. A lot of times you can, there is assistance out there with writing the grants. I know sometimes that becomes a sticking point for people, but there are opportunities and people, groups to help out writing those grants. And it is vital to the fire service, but it is an excellent program. I don't know if anybody else has any other new business. Carl, why don't you go ahead and bring your other topic?
Yeah, I will. I'm just looking for, just to close this one out, the FP&S open and closing dates. Let me see if I can find it from last year. I can't really quick. Maybe somebody else can look that up in the background. But the open and close dates are published right on the front of the FEMA website. So I don't know if anybody remembers when that was, but I'll continue to take a look and see if I can put it in the chat as well. Shifting gears a little bit onto some kind of mixed personal and professional news. Folks on the call, including ICC staff, ICC members of the governing committee, and others, have long known for years the contributions that Chief Randy Metz has brought to the table, to the Fire Service Membership Council, to the ICC board ultimately, and to the greater ICC fire service community. I know Darcy's on here as well too. I know Randy's intent was, and I'm trying to do this without getting choked up here too, but I know Randy's intent was to kind of glide in for a smooth landing in the city of Carlsbad as the outgoing fire marshal. And he was looking forward to retirement here at the end of the year and being able to transition to a private sector position with Wildan. Some of you know, but many of you do not. And I'm just kind of here to put this out here to this group so that we can rally as the fire service around Chief Metz, is that he just prior to the ICC annual conference and the elections in Long Beach was diagnosed with job-related colon cancer. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One, obviously I'm affected and certainly feel for Randy and his family and all of his friends. But two is that it's really to just kind of put the word back out to this group. We've had Firefighter Cancer Support Network, Brian Frieders, who's been on previously, and a couple of others talking about cancer screening, early detection. I think that it's going to hopefully work out for Randy in that his cancer diagnosis was caught early, but he is currently, at least as of yesterday, was still in the hospital recovering from surgery, hoping to be discharged today to go home. They're feeling hopefully that was a good result, and there was some pathology that came back that will kind of lay out the course of treatment for Randy here over the next several months to a year, maybe even longer. But ultimately, our hope is, as is his hope, is that this is survivable, and it looks like it is, and that he'll have a good result. But I would certainly not speculate any more than that and let share the details with you. But I bring that up on here because we all do care about Randy. He's done so much for me in my position. I know how much he means to this group, and if you have the opportunity to reach out to him, I would ask that you do so and show him that support and love. So it's about as honest as I could be on a Thursday afternoon here in Boston. So thank you, Tim.
No, thank you for the update, Carl. I know Randy has been in our thoughts and prayers for a while since we found out, and those continued thoughts and prayers for him in his speedy recovery, because we do miss him.
And I'm sure he'll be back here bothering us before long too, especially Sean Toomey, since Sean's the rookie.
Yeah, exactly. Any other new business? Didn't see any. Just a reminder, our next meeting will be December 19th. It will be election night. But is there any good of the order or comments from the audience?
Tim, I have one for the good.
Go ahead. G5.
Just a note for our 24 meeting schedule. It shows an in-person for April 7. And while I was trying to make my calendar items for next year, I noticed on the ICC conference page, it has the 2025 CAH meetings being April 26th through May 6th. So I just wanted to see if the April 7 date is correct.
Yes, as far as I know, that date is been moved back. Those hearings have been moved back to the end of April, beginning of May for 2025.
But our in-person is April 7th.
No, our in-person will be at that when those hearings are, we will probably adjust that for April.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Shapiro.
Yeah, thanks. I put in the chat one test for cancer, which is a evolving blood biopsy technology for cancer detection oriented towards military and emergency responder crowd. I'm a cancer survivor myself for many years, and met with the folks with the Firefighter Cancer Institute at FRI who strongly endorse the one test for cancer protocol, but it's basically a blood biopsy. You give a single vial and they look for a lot of cancer markers in your blood. So it's non-invasive. It's very beneficial. A lot of people have had this test and been saved as a result of having done so. And if you haven't heard of it, it's pretty inexpensive, and I really strongly recommend that you take a look at it. In fact, I was literally an hour ago just talking with a fire chief from the local department about this, and they just had all their firefighters go through MRI evaluations. And honestly, this is probably better and way less invasive. So if you haven't heard of it, look it up. But I really strongly recommend that if you have an opportunity to look at this for your department, it's definitely worth paying attention to.
Thank you, sir. It's one I hadn't heard of, but it is, I know it needs to be done, and I appreciate the information. We all know the risks that we face as we continue through this career path. Any other good of the order comments? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second out there. There we go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everyone. Have a good holiday, and I will see you all back in December. Take care.
Stay safe, everybody.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
You. Bye.